All right, being 6 o'clock, call me in order. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Chris Bull.
Here.
Chris Iden.
Here.
Ken Charneski.
Here.
Alex Vedvin.
Here.
Aaron Mishka.
Here.
Kelly Coyle.
Here.
Craig Mortensen.
Here. All right, item number 2, public comment. So first item is Patty Tukalski.
Okay. Patty Tukalski, 2153 Peach Road, Kronenwetter, Wisconsin. Village President, Mr. Bull, and trustees. On the agenda tonight, it lists staff concerns. I'm urging you as the village board to really listen to what is said. Everyone can hear, but I'm asking you to listen to their concerns and suggestions. Also take what they are saying and use it as a springboard to help our village staff grow, feel confident, and have the support they need to do their job. Building a more unified team culture between village staff, village board, and village residents for the betterment of the village of Kronenwetter. When it comes to hiring qualified individuals to fill the vacancies, I recommend the village hiring an agency that specializes in finding candidates. Yes, it will cost money, but in the long run, it will save us money. It will build a quality team and stop the revolving door of staff. We need a qualified administrator, financial director, and village clerk. We need to build back trust with staff, village board, village residents, and the community at large. Lastly, once again, I am stressing the fact that we need to do right by the current village staff and compensate them according to village handbook policy. Out of classification work, hourly employees who are temporarily assigned by the supervisor, department head, or village administrator to perform the duties defined in a higher rated position for 4 hours or more shall receive the higher hourly rate of pay for actual time worked in a higher rated position. So let's start following the handbook and do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Rick Menning. Name and address, please, Rick.
Rick Menning, 809 Oak Road, here in Kronenwetter. So I'm here to talk about the Crossroads Canine Rescue. I hear that they're up for renewal of their use permit. There's a few concerns that I have around that. When the initial conditional use and things was requested, there were conditions that were set around the site as far as fencing in the dogs for concern that these are rescue dogs. Those fences were up for a while, they're gone. They're no longer up. The building that was supposed to be soundproofed and finished and all of that, it's been 4 or 5 years now, and they have been asking for money all over the website and things. The building isn't done yet. They don't even use it for their dogs, if they have any. They keep the dogs in the garage. Every spring they have to go with their tractor with a loader on it and shovel the dog poop crap off the deck because it's so thick. The barking has gotten better, but I think that's because they're in the garage and not in the building. I'm not sure why they need this location. They have a location at 401 Alderson Street that's called Central Wisconsin Canine. That's a for-profit that they also have listed at 839 Oak Road as part of that business, which is their residence that they have the conditional use permit for. Not sure how we can have a nonprofit and a profit at the same location. My opinion, 4 or 5 years of begging for money and nothing has been done. Nothing's been completed that they promised under the conditions of the original permit. Not sure why they should be continued to operate. You're actually approving 3 businesses because they have canine, the Crossroads Canine Rescue listed at that facility, the Central Wisconsin Canine, and they also advertise as, there's a website out there called Sniff Spot, which you can rent time at a yard to bring dogs and have them babysat. They're also doing that there. They've been advertising. None of this, is, my understanding, has gone through here. So I guess I'm as a neighbor next door, I've been opposed and concerned about safety and the noise if you check the records, it hasn't been a while, but I have made multiple phone calls into the sheriff's department because of noise. So as the neighbor, I'm opposed to this. I appreciate your time.
Next up is Dan Lesniak.
I know the drill. Dan Lesniak, 816 Spring Road. I want to bring one main issue up regarding the Maple Ridge Road agenda item, but then an issue that's arisen within the last day that I'm aware of that at least I want to put on the board's radar screen to get an understanding on. First, I noticed from I believe it was last week's clip agenda, that there was the discussion of changing the speed limit from the 55 section of Maple Ridge Road down to 45 was on their agenda, and I was glad to see that it continued as a recommendation to the village board tonight. As someone who lives a mile from there and regularly uses Maple Ridge Road, I am very much in favor of that reduction of speed limit due to many factors, including the geometrics of that road, the diminishing condition of the pavement on that road, and for many other reasons. That I think is a positive change. Personally, I don't ever travel any faster than 45 on that section of road anyway, so it will have zero effect on me. But for other people who travel a little faster, hopefully they decide to slow down. In addition to the increase in traffic of truck traffic that has been noticed on that road over time. So 45 would be definitely my recommendation myself to when that comes up. The other item has come up within the last day or so, and it connects to Maple Ridge Road. There's a number of unusual like T-style fence posts that have been coming up in the ditch line. I did just email this evening the chief and public works director and president on this, just more to get information on what's going on. To me, they remind me to be very reminiscent of a snowmobile trail. And if we're gonna run a snowmobile trail down Spring Road and on the edge of Maple Ridge Road, that presents a huge amount of problems. So I'm hoping that's not the case of what's going on. But if it is, I think it needs to be stopped immediately. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Dan. Next up, Brenda Kramer.
Good evening, Mr. President, and I'd like to wish you all a happy holiday, New Year's and all that other good stuff. We've had a kind of a rough year all the way through. It's been always kind of an adventure, the Kronenwetter ride, I call it. But I'd just like to address Maple Ridge Road. Lived here a number of years, and you know, I specifically have a hard time getting through my head why we have to have all these roads in the category of 45 miles an hour. I mean, you're going to have more violators. Realistically, they'll go over 45, so then you got a violation, right? And the average speed now, I understand, is under 55. And I know Maple Ridge has no shoulders, like a lot of roads in Kronenwetter, 16th Road and South Road and all that other good stuff. But, you know, that's a main trunk in Kronenwetter. Maple Ridge off the interstate to X, the only road we got. That's a direct shot. Otherwise, you got to go way down to double X down there and crawl around Falls or wherever. So, I mean, I think if I did anything, I might reduce it to 50. But I wouldn't reduce it to 45. It's a country road, it's not a street. You know, you can leave the speed zone on the west end, and there's nobody living on the south side of the road all the way up to Spring. Hiles places on the left, and then you go halfway down to Oak, then you run into the first house, and then on top of the hill up there, you run into Wysocki, and then a couple more houses, and then before you get to the stop sign, you run into Chernetsky's farmland, which is about another half mile or so or better on each side. Otherwise, a lot of brush, vacant land. So I mean, I fail to see the big plus of reducing it all the way to 45. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Holly. I'm going to butcher your last name, I apologize.
Henninger.
Henninger? Did you say
Henninger. That's okay.
name and address, please?
Yeah, Holly Henninger, 1426 Maple Ridge Road. My husband and I lived right at the kind of the crest of the hill, and we had proposed that it be reduced to 45. Just due to the hilliness of the road and kind of the hidden driveways, the limited visibility. As we had seen last week too, some of the speeds were record high in the high 70s. So we just don't feel it's safe, especially in winter conditions, to be pulling out of a driveway. A car is coming up and over the hill, and that speedometer was on our property at the crest of the hill. Our neighbors are here, but they're at the bottom of the hill, so some of those speeds were probably even 5 miles an hour faster down there. It's just dangerous pulling in and out, and I think just dangerous for the kids in the neighborhood too.
Thank you. All right, next up is Matt Barani.
Matt Browning, 1388 Maple Ridge Road. We're the neighbors at more of the bottom of the hill or in the middle of the hill. We have 2 children. Soon one of them's going to be driving. Across the way from us is another neighbor who has children the same age group. We specifically don't have our kids ride on the bus because having a bus stop there would be super dangerous. So my wife takes the kids to school, or I take the kids to school and pick them up. So I had called in a while back during summer to ask about possibly doing a second driveway about 500 feet farther down closer to Spring because of that concern and the cost and everything associated with plowing another driveway and maintaining another driveway. It just doesn't make sense. If we can lower the speed to 45, I think that would address a lot of the concerns.
Great, thank you. And Allie, you're on here too. Did you want to speak?
She lost good voice.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, that concludes public comment. Item number 3, reports from staff and vendors. 3C, the police chief.
One more. Is there any more room for public comment? I wasn't sure how to get myself added to the list.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. What's name and address, please?
Sam Gooch, 949 Oak Road. I live on Oak Road, adjoining Maple Ridge Road. I understand there's an agenda item this evening to consider changing the speed limit from 55 to 45. I just wanted to state my objection to that change and advocate for keeping the speed limit at 55. Maple Ridge is a rather rural road in my opinion, similar to a lot of country roads. I counted approximately 17 driveways and 3 connecting roads in the section that would be affected. As noted before, it also serves as a crucial route for many Kronenwetter residents, especially on the east side of the highway, to connect over to Highway 39. Lowering the speed limit would affect a lot of these commuters daily by increasing travel times with presumed benefit for only a small number of houses on the road itself. While I understand concerns about speeding on Maple Ridge, I use the road daily myself, and I don't believe lowering the speed limit would effectively address this issue. There's been studies that have shown lowering the speed limit may not significantly affect driving speeds, since drivers tend to drive the speeds they feel safe depending on road conditions and road design. It could even worsen the problem by making more discrepancy between the people who follow the speed limit, the new speed limit of 45, and those who clearly already do not. The speed board data they've shown already shows some drivers are driving significantly faster than 55 already, 70 miles per hour in some cases. Other solutions I think would be better, such as increased patrolling. This shows some people are already not following the speed limit. I believe lowering the speed limit could just create more of a safety concern with the wide differences in speed. I believe any changes that would be made to the speed limit should be more of a comprehensive study in the road design, the traffic patterns, accident data, to ensure it actually is enhancing safety rather than introducing unintended risks, such as increased noncompliance or increased risk of accidents due to varying speeds. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to item number 3, staff reports. Item 3C, the police chief report.
Okay. In addition to what I've got in the report, I don't have a whole lot else. One thing I do have that I didn't get added in there is we're selected for a grant for PVT calibration equipment. So PVTs are preliminary breath test machines that we use on the side of the road. And so we put in for a grant to get some equipment because those have to be calibrated on a regular basis in order to make sure that they're accurate and so on. And so we were awarded new equipment from that just recently. So we'll be picking that up here pretty soon. So I'll take any questions anybody has.
Do we have any questions? No. All right, thanks, Chief.
You bet.
All right, moving on to 3D, the fire chief report.
Okay, the report in front of you was through November 25th in order to make it onto the FLIP meeting last week. November after that date ended up quite busy. We had a pretty big structure fire on south end of Oak Road. In addition, we had another 20 EMS calls after the 25th, so continued to be busy. Any questions or?
Who was the new hire that resigned?
His name was Brian Hallenbeck. He joined us in hopes that this was what he wanted, and once he got out here,
Wasn't his thing.
wasn't his thing. Correct. That happens.
And how did the auction turn out?
Good. We had 2 items that did not sell. We didn't get a bid on them at all. Everything else is sold.
What'd you get for that truck?
5,000.
Yeah, I saw it going down the highway Saturday.
Yeah, they get to Saturday morning. Considering it had about $5,000 worth of fixes it needed, I was happy with getting that.
Yeah, good. Anybody else have any questions? All right, move on then to item E, the public works director's report. Do we have any questions for Greg? We'll make sure Greg gets. No questions, no comments? Okay, move on then to item F, the community development director's report.
There's my report. In addition to that, I did receive a concept plan today for a 109 unit or lot proposed subdivision that I'm looking at off of Pine Road. It's gonna be pretty in-depth, but it's at preliminary stages right now. Other than that, I'll take any questions.
Is that kind of to the north of? Just trying to think where you can put 109 places.
Somewhere in here.
Gronsky, is that farmland? Gronsky Farm?
No,
Is that by the?
it's I believe right now it's owned by Shooty.
Oh, there.
So it's all this single family.
Pleasant, Pleasant. Is that kind of?
Yep, north.
East of Pleasant. Yeah. Where that sunflower field was going to, you know.
Yes.
Well, thanks Public Works for taking that tree down in the corner of Pine and on the stop.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
Yep.
I mean,
There's a norway, yeah.
hard to see it all that corner.
Okay, this thing on performance standards on driveways, 660 feet, you're looking at increasing the standards or what?
No, we had somebody that is at the end of an unimproved road, and their driveway from the end of that unimproved road is like 175 feet, but if you included the unimproved road and that distance, it was like on 1,000 feet. And I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't required to have it, because we only require it for on your own property, and that technically is, although it's an approved village right of way. And by happenstance, there's already a turnout right where that road and his driveway meet, so I think we're good.
Anything else for Pete? All right, thanks, Pete. All right, moving on to item number 4, new business, 4G, speed limit, change from 55 to 45 on Maple Ridge.
Well, I guess I can start out because this came to CLIP, and I guess we voted in favor of reducing the speed limit just for the fact of safety. There's so many hidden driveways, there's more houses going in there now, and just looking at, we just try to avoid maybe a big accident happening over in that area. I mean, like you look at Kronenwetter Drive, everything else except for access, would be 45. I mean, X is 55, but that is a county highway. So do we want to have the same speed limit on a highway that we do just really on just a road that,
And Kowalski, 35.
right?
Out here.
So you're thinking our main roads,
And I think this is 35 out here too, isn't it?
I think 45 is, yeah, well. So that was kind of in a nutshell. We talked
So,
about.
Chief, do we have a list of like accidents that happened over on that stretch of road in the last couple of years? 5 years maybe?
I looked at the traffic crash website, and it's like, I think I looked at like a 10-year window. It's kind of your typical winter driving, cars going in the ditch, a lot of car deer accidents, a handful of OWIs. Those are usually ones also ending up in the ditch. That's pretty much, you know, there's not a lot of like intersection related crashes there.
But we don't track near misses. There could be a lot of near
Right.
misses that don't get reported.
And correct me, maybe somebody who lives on the road, it's been a few months since I've gone down there, but there isn't a lot of shoulder as you go down Maple Ridge, is there?
No, no.
Okay, that's what I thought. There's not a lot of room there to take evasive maneuvers.
No,
if you do come up on somebody, or head to head with somebody, there's not a lot of room there.
And a couple of years ago, we had that big storm come through and washed out a lot of the shoulders on that.
Yeah.
The opinion of the officers was 45. I put it out to them and get their opinion, and they just felt because of the condition of the road, the hilliness, the hidden driveways, etc. And they said they don't do much more than 45 on there. So just food for thought for you, however you guys want to do it.
Well, Maple Ridge was one of the 3 roads in the village that were eligible for a specific rural road grant due to its condition. The other 2 were Dublin Road and Martin Road. That kind of went nowhere, I don't know whatever happened with that. That was months ago. So it would have been nice to redo some of that, but yeah, I mean, I agree that it's kind of terrifying driving down Maple Ridge. On top of that, they've added a couple houses inside and around the board. Some of the blind driveways.
Well, as far as I know, there's only one actual blind driveway, which is coming from the west, would be Waisaki's. It's kind of over the crest. And didn't you just recently put up a sign there? Blind driveway or something like that? From the west?
I think PW did.
Right. So that, to me, seems to kind of help with that one. I know there's a couple new houses on there, but I definitely would not call them blind driveways. You know, they got pretty good vision each direction. It's just this one that was a concern. And now with that blind driveway, did they put a suggested 45 on that sign too, or just said blind driveway?
That I don't know. I just remember, I think Brad mentioned that they had put a blind driveway sign up.
Okay, because I guess that might be a better compromise to, along with that sign, put, a yellow 45 or something to suggest that. But I kind of agree with Bernie and some of the other people about that road being, there's a lot of traffic, and I know people are concerned about their kids and everything else. But it's still a rural road, even with the new houses. And I think if it were left at 55, if you have these bus stop situations, sometimes they'll put a sign, bus stop ahead, so people are aware of something like that happening. But it just seems to be kind of extreme to reduce the speed that much on a road that long, basically just because there's a couple new houses that are at it.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with new houses, but you mentioned pieces about speeds. I mean, people are just more apt I mean, right, most people probably think 10 or below, not getting a ticket. People that do speed usually don't go 30 over.
Thank you.
You know, they might go 15, 20, you know, 15 to 20, but, you know, they're usually getting stopped at that. So you're seeing some of these charts here, most people really aren't going 20 over. So, you know, then if that's limiting some of the ridiculous speed too by Lorient. I mean, people don't pay attention to the yellow signs. Right on curves, and double X, it says 15. Does anyone go 15 on double X on the curve?
We're gonna admit you the chief sit here.
Don't use that against me if I'm pulled over by going, you know, 25. But,
I go
15. You know, like, people don't pay attention to those. And it's a condition of the road. I'm in favor of reducing the speed limit.
Well, that's, hang on, Kelly, I got one more comment. These maximum speed limits, does it tell you how many? I mean, if one person goes burning, you know, down the road and it registers, you know, 78, how do we know if that's just one person or a lot of people?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be either way. Without doing a deep dive where I'm pulling up a chart that's showing every vehicle that passes through, you know, and then gathering all that data. That's why I just kind of hit the high points, but just looking at this, I mean, it could be either way.
Okay, and we have an average speed right now of 50 miles an hour. That would make everybody, if you change it to 45, that would make most of these people in violation just because you have a few people who are excessively speeding. And to me, I thought if you had a problem like this, let's just say the neighbors say, yeah, there's this red car that always goes by at 6 in the morning, you know, burning down the road. Can't some of these problem situations, you know, be stopped and give them a ticket or whatever to eliminate some of these excessive speeds? Because to me, it just doesn't seem fair to your average driver who wants to, you know, who works in Point and wants to go down X and over on Maple Ridge to the highway, go to Point, and then they're stuck going 45 when normally, you know, it was 55. So I guess that's, you know, I have concern for the people who live there, but I also have concern for your average person who uses the road, which apparently is hundreds a day, you know. So
is the entrance and exit of Spring and Oak quite visible? I mean, when they come to the stop sign, because they got to enter, is it kind of hidden? I mean, you got ones kind of down the hill or whatever.
I don't think
you
so.
can see them.
Yeah, they can even go. I guess if you dropped it to 45, they're gonna drive 55 anyway. The people that want to, I guess is what I could see. If the road we dropped to 45, they're driving 55 around here anyway.
I never drive 55 on that road. I feel like that's too fast, so 45 is what's just safe to me.
Oh, I'd like to actually drive more like a 40 on it. I mean, there's no shoulder, you can't see crap coming out of the ditch. Yeah.
Well, then I make a motion to approve changing the speed limit on Maple Ridge Road from 55 to 45.
Second?
Got a motion by Kelly, second by Aaron to reduce the speed limit from 55 to 45 on Maple Ridge Road. Any further discussion? Aaron, call roll, please.
Chris Lowell.
Yes.
Chris Iden.
Yes.
Ken Terneski.
No.
Alex Zedvik.
Yes.
Aaron Mishka.
Yes.
Kelly Coyle.
Yes.
Craig Mortensen.
Yes.
All right, motion carried 6-1. Okay, moving on to item 4H, discussion of staff concerns. So Chief and Brad and Pete, you know, during the staff meeting this past Monday, a week ago Monday, had a discussion about staffing and kind of where the village is going related to staff and some of those types of things. So I talked to Chief, and then everybody got that email. So I talked to Chief last Friday, and we kind of discussed a number of different things. And one of the things that we came up with was, in order to get staff's concerns, that we would appoint a trustee and the village attorney to meet with chief and staff and go through all their concerns, kind of compile everything together, and then bring that to the village board. I didn't think that having everybody kind of parade through a village board meeting would be a very effective method to get those concerns. I would be afraid that some people would be afraid to maybe voice concerns in the public forum. They'd feel better off trying to discuss those things in more of a relaxed setting, if you will. So that was one suggestion that Chief and I kind of came up with, and I don't know, Chief, if you want to kind of add in anything to that, or maybe talk a little bit about what some of the concerns are from staff?
Sure, I think the president said, we kind of just talked about, I think in the office there's some concerns, that they're working shorthanded. We're missing our top 3 positions, which is really key, and it's detrimental to the village overall. And so I think, that's just causing anxiety with our staff. And so I think some of the things that, and first of all, I would preface, just like I told the president, our thing was, this is not meant to be an adversarial situation. We're not looking to place blame. Nobody's, wanting to do that. We just want to all work together to get the village back on track, come up with a plan of how we can fill these positions, because especially up top in the office, the police department and the fire department, we're a little bit more autonomous. We kind of are doing more of our own thing, so to speak. But up in the office, I think that's really where a lot of the concerns lie. And so I think a number of things that the president and I talked about, compensation for the ladies up front who are doing the clerk and treasurer position duties, they're hourly employees. Could they be compensated somehow? We talked about different methods for that. The importance or looking at firms or temp agencies to maybe fill positions. I know we've run into some problems, I think, with PAA. I don't know if they're really willing to work with us. We used to use them in the past, but I don't know if that's really an option. It doesn't sound like it, but even some temp agencies to help, close this gap for us a little bit. And then a firm, I know it's expensive to go with a firm. The staff just kind of feels that there's been a heavy cost without an administrator in there for this time. Somebody to really get the X's and O's in place and move us, because we're all just kind of treading water, I think, in a lot of situations. And as the president and I talked about, obviously, this is obvious, but the reputation of the village isn't great. And so, how can we move ahead to change that together? How can we work together to do that? And then, like I said, the importance of a full-time administrator, I think, we think is really important. Overall, just somebody to, and it's hard when you have the interim administrator or somebody who's there for 3 days a week, like we had Mr. Mahoney or Ms. Manley. That's tough, because at 20 hours a week, it's better than nothing, but it's hard because they're so busy putting out so many other fires than to really direct staff and get us going where we really need to go as a village. You see where things have fallen between the cracks, and so that's what we're trying to avoid as well. And then the last thing is, do we need to look at putting some some things on the back burner, you know, like was mentioned at today's staff meeting, the taxes are gonna come up, and we could be short-staffed up front, and so that's gotta be the priority, and so then maybe they need to pull back, looking at, you know, just prioritizing those work assignments.
Yep, thanks, Chief.
You bet.
And so during some of that discussion, we talked about who we might thought would be a good candidate as a trustee to work with the staff, and I kind of came up with Craig as our volunteer, and that's simply because, Craig, you don't have the baggage that comes along with a lot of the rest of us have.
True.
So you were appointed a month ago, and you're just now getting your feet wet. So I think, given your background with your businesses that you've done, I think you'd be the best pick to be that liaison for the village board to the village staff to try to understand and work through some of their suggestions, some ideas, and bring that kind of stuff back to the village board. And then the reason I mentioned the attorney is that, given that staff may not always know the right processes for some things, and so if they come up with a suggestion, and then the group spends a couple hours on it, and then it gets to us, and the attorney says, you guys can't do that, it's not statutorily available to do it that way. Well, then they've wasted all that time trying to get to that answer. So if they had, if the attorney can be there to say, hey, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, move forward, then they don't waste any time. So that's one piece of it.
Laws are constantly changing, so you gotta address them all.
Yeah.
And I know employee issues are always, it's my counterpart, I just love that.
And then another piece of it was that, talking to some other people, that we could shuffle some staff around. So right now we have Jennifer doing interim clerk. We could leave Jennifer to do that. We could move kind of Kim over into some of the planning tech stuff. She's kind of been doing that now, so give her more of a role at that. Then we could maybe backfill the water clerk. And then we could backfill the possibility of the planning tech. And then between Kim and Jennifer, then we can move on with a full-time clerk. And I think talking to Kim, I think she would be interested in moving forward with full-time clerk, but that would be around March, I think, is the timeline for that. So we've been doing a lot of talking, Chief and I, so what are some of your guys' thoughts? Yes, no? Back to the drawing board.
Well, I think we need bodies. I don't know if planning tech, I guess it makes sense either way, but I think our wage is far too low for the planning tech. The requirements. I also don't see us advertising in a lot of places. I think it's kind of unbelievable to me. On the League of Municipalities website, the administrator is not on there. Yeah, okay, well, I'm just saying, like, with stuff like that, our advertising isn't exactly been stellar either. I think the only odds of the planning tech recruiting outside, I think we really want to hit the universities, I think. Even if you start them as an interim, or an intern.
Well, I think
try to
we're
stay
going
up
to
full time.
they'll have to redefine the job description. Right now, it doesn't allow for that. So we'd have to redefine the criteria for hiring. That was one of my thoughts too, was trying to get an intern, maybe over the summer or what have you. But there are a lot of interns available this time of year.
I think there might be more than you think, just going to campus.
I'd say we're at the end of the semester right now, and there are December graduates, so we could definitely snag somebody, right out of.
You have someone graduating soon.
Yeah.
If you don't call them the planning tech, you call them the planning tech intern. It's a win-win maybe.
What's the current rate on work on percentage? You've got any current prices on going out for outside source?
The ABC had some information that we kind of compiled a month or so ago. I know Lisa was kind of working on that when she left. So I need to find out exactly what information she did have compiled. But it was anywhere from, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, I think some of the quotes that Lisa was talking about was anywhere from 35 to 50 grand for a veterinary service.
Yeah, 50% up front.
Is that a guaranteed placement then?
Yeah, and you get a free replacement if they don't work out, but I mean, either way, that's still 15 grand up front before they
Well,
found.
how much money have we saved not paying that salary too?
I know.
That's accumulated.
Yeah, since September.
That too.
So we've been 4 months of wages we saved, so I would say it's probably close to 40 grand.
So I mean,
Yeah, we may become to the point where we have to bite that bullet. You know, on a related note, and this is something that I reached out to Chris on Friday, would be in the near term about contracting with an accounting group who specializes in governmental accounting and bring in someone on contract ASAP.
for financial.
For the financial piece.
Yeah.
And if it could be done quickly, enough, I understand we're on Monday the 9th, APC meets on the 19th. If the basis for a contract could be put together that quickly, we could have a joint APC and board meeting on the 19th to approve that item, because there has been, well, I guess I'll back up here. Lisa went to Kerber Rose, and they do have a department that specializes in that.
Kerber does?
Kerber does. And they would be able to assign someone to it quickly. We're at a point in the year where we really can't afford to lose somebody for any length of time, and this would be kind of the quickest solution if they have a governmental accounting specialist available to jump in this right away.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of a finance director, we're gonna have big problems quickly. I mean, we're gonna have bank accounts not balancing, we're gonna have all kinds of issues. I think, probably already is happening.
I think that would be our first step to get somebody financial.
Yeah.
All the budgets that we've been scratching around trying to put together, working blind, and climate change, we don't have time, just have to put whatever we should put together for us.
And on a related note to that, I think I may have a copy of their flyer on that. When we do find someone for the permanent finance director position, maybe they don't check all the blocks. They actually will train that person to be a finance director in terms of getting them up to speed quickly on being in governmental accounting. So that is a service they offer as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go. I mean,
I don't know how quickly we'd be able to get the baseline of a contract put together with them, but if we could pull it off by the 19th. Right.
well, do they provide a contract?
I'm sure they have some.
Yeah, I'm sure
Well,
they do.
But if, you know,
Just call them up and say,
Yeah.
well, when can you be here? And if they say next Wednesday, well, then we should have a meeting like next Tuesday, to approve it and get it done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they shouldn't have to wait for APC's regular
Right.
meeting. You guys can have.
Right, and like I said, I wasn't trying to put the cart ahead of the horse here. I was trying to think in terms of following our process, so.
Yeah.
We also got the idea, I heard it for a while, do you know somebody at Gerber then?
Yeah,
Okay.
our finance director that we just lost, Lisa went to Kerber in another role, and the conversation unrelated to this led to learning about the services they offer. And she had sent me a copy of their flyer on it, and I'm like, well, heck, I wish we'd have known that was an option a month ago, but.
I was a partner with Dave Gerber, and a small operation at one time, so I've been to shot on bench many times, so, but yeah, if you need anything, I can try to help you out there too, but.
Yeah, we don't know their wage either, but
I'll reach out to those guys tomorrow and find out what.
Do you have a copy of the flyer or no? I'll get it for you.
Right there.
then the other thing too, I see as a top priority is you know, not only are we like one staff member away from my opinion just shutting the doors in the municipal center up front, because I mean, I know a lot of stuff isn't able to get done in a normal work day with how short we are. There's direction on, and I know the police chief had sent that out in his email about discussing the priorities that staff need to follow during this. I mean, you know, hopefully we'll figure out the finance director piece, at least temporarily. But, you know, we still don't have an administrator. It'll take time to figure out the clerk full-time, I mean, permanently, you know, whatever it might be. I have confidence in you filling the role, but you had a prior role as well. Everyone's doing double duty right now. You know, it's kind of giving that direction to staff on, you know, what can they get done in a day. You know, there's a limit to how much they can get done, and so we have to kind of choose right now what needs to and what might be a wish list.
Might we want to reach out to just the temp service and get a couple, you know, entry-level girls to do all the shuffling and paperwork?
Well, they can do that, yeah. I mean, like I said, it'll take a little bit, but you know, we're right now in tax bill season. There's going to be a huge uptick in questions and visits, submissions, clerical duties, like that. And we still have all the village operations going on in the new fiscal year. I mean, there's going to be, I mean, I think that's probably the top priority in the interim right now, is providing staff that direction, because we don't have an administrator, we don't really have a point person for them to direct questions. I don't think anyone knows what they are supposed to be doing right now, if you're doing double duty, which doesn't get prioritized.
They're talking to me about that stuff, so I'm giving them some direction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we did anything using a temp, bringing in a temp as merely like an admin clerk to answer phones, answer questions at the counter, so that the people we do have can be freed up to work on their things, so they're not being interrupted every couple minutes. You know.
Maybe you can bring them in without all the other added expenses, just the one-shot price.
Yeah, but there's training that person.
Well, don't give it much to, mainly just filing, answering phones.
Simple tasks.
But all those tasks, there just gonna be an in-between person then. We
Well,
kind of talked about that. You hire a temp, and we're not making widgets. I mean, everything we're doing is site-specific. You know, it's either zoning, or it's sewer and water, or it's DPW.
I would envision that person basically answering the phone, saying, taking the information down, and someone will get back to you. They're basically keeping these people from constantly getting interrupted. And then they set aside a block of the day where they're following up on this. Right now, that's really, we don't have a lot of options.
That's all I can say. I would respectfully disagree. I think that's just gonna add one more cog to the wheel that we don't need.
You know, in a way, I do kind of agree with Pete, because sometimes, you know, you're doing, some of the jobs can be pretty complicated. When you're really busy, like with tax season, now you gotta try to train somebody. It's actually just more work on you, you know? So we gotta be careful that, you know.
It can be more work because then you got to back them up.
Right, unless somebody actually has had that job before.
Yeah, it'd be totally different, yeah.
But
Yeah, I can get that as a temp.
But that's probably pretty rare.
Do you have any job tasks that don't require a lot of training, that are repetitious?
Everybody's spread so thin right now that, no, I wouldn't say, I don't know. I mean, everything is detailed to a specific task that not everybody even knows. I mean, I'd say 2 or 3 people know how to do that task. You take one out of it for taxes, then you have only one person left. So if that person had to train somebody or give direction to somebody else, it'd just be a quagmire.
That's a big, that person holding.
If you had a temp worker who knew open records,
That'd be totally
goose
different.
that laid the golden egg right there, because that would save us a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gotta be something we can do in terms of fulfilling open records. And yeah, I don't know for temp agency, but I mean, you don't need APC approval or board approval to hire at the clerk level, right, or the non-department heads.
That's correct.
So we should be able to move faster on that. I just, you know, like I said, with planning tech, to get a fully qualified person with the wage structure we have, I don't think we are. That's gonna be a headache, you know. Even, let's say we move Kim over, that helps, free up some room because the clerk position.
Yeah, I guess she doesn't need to be trained though either, because she's already been doing some of that job. So
Right.
it would be easier to backfill her for the water clerk, because then she could train somebody. Then she could focus on planning tech, and then a couple months down the road, when those all get kind of solidified, then those two can decide who wants, if they want to move on. If Kim wants to be the clerk, then she can apply to be the clerk, and then she can be interviewed, et cetera, and see if that works out or not. And if that's the case, then we get back to the planning tech. Because then by then, it would probably be around midterm time again for the spring, possibly in March, April, somewhere there. So,
I got a dumb question. Has anybody aware what Cindy's up to lately? That if she
Not
would be-
interested.
No, okay, just had to ask.
I asked that question a couple weeks ago.
Okay, just want to know, because I know she knows what she's doing, but.
Now, she's not adverse to training somebody, but she is not interested in going back as an entry clerk.
Okay.
That's what you were talking about, right?
Yep, just had to ask.
So what are your guys' thoughts on appointing Craig as the liaison to talk to staff about some of their concerns?
You have the time available, Craig?
Yeah, pretty much every week. As soon as you get to be 72 plus,
You got some time?
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion on that effect. The other aspect of it too, I talked about was also having the attorney sit in on those sessions. Thoughts, comments?
Could you just call them or send me an email as needed with the questions? Would it be cheaper than getting $20 an hour?
Probably.
Well, I mean, is he gonna be really available, just responding with emails?
Well, I don't even know what kind of time periods we're talking about with this. Anyway, yeah. Chief, do you guys have any idea what kind of time commitment could be involved? I mean, like 1 meeting, 3 meetings?
I think we should have the meeting first and come up with it, and then if there's things that are legal related, then bring it into it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of things that we've discussed, I don't know that it's needed.
Right. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think the attorney is probably more useful for the how did we get here than how did we get out of it.
Chris, did you want a motion for Craig to be head of that? All right, I move to appoint Craig Mortensen to be a liaison between staff and their duties, job tasks, kind of mediate and help keep this going smoothly.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Aaron, second by Kelly to appoint Craig as the staff liaison to work through some of the concerns that were brought up at the staff meeting last Monday. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. And then the rest of this stuff, you know, with Kerber Rose and some of these other things, I'll start working on that tomorrow. And send me that flyer.
I just sent it to all the pickup and go.
And we'll kind of go from there, and if we can get something quick from them, maybe look for a special meeting next week sometime.
And I'm just wondering, where are we with the administrator? It's been since June, right?
Well, we interviewed a guy out of Milwaukee, and
Okay.
so he wanted to wait and see if he had another job. He had a job interview closer to Milwaukee, so he wanted to wait and see what he did for that. And so he informed me that he was not interested in this position. And that was the only decent candidate we had out of the last couple of months for the vote.
Out of a total of 40 applicants.
Yeah.
40 applicants.
Yeah, but a lot of those are on Indeed, and they're just trying to.
Yeah, so you get the guy that's the guy over at Walmart, or the guy that's the barista at Starbucks. Or
Oh, there were, actually, I will say, about the resumes, there were some that had management experience, or they had this or that. They had maybe 1 to 2 pieces of a 5-piece thing that I'm looking for, but we're not in a position to train someone from that level up. So we really need somebody that has about 4 out of 5 versus 2 out of 5. So I mean, there were decent candidates that if we were in a different position and were solid at all the other roles, yeah, I would have looked at a couple of them, but we're not there.
So that's where we are.
I mean, do we have like a list of quotes for a search firm? I've heard the dollar amount quoted before, but that seems high, 50% off.
5 we have.
Yeah.
ABC never narrowed it down. We reached out to a bunch of places and got a bunch of information.
If you go back to the October APC meeting agenda, you'll see them all in there with the breakdown of cost.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
That's okay. Anything else in this item? All right, then we're going to move on. Item number 5, the consent agenda. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 7 permit renewals, 4 kennel permits, and 3 animal fancier permits. What's your pleasure?
I would say, I know we had some public comment about item J.
So take it on J.
Yeah. So that would,
All right, we'll remove item J. What's your pleasure on items I, K, L, M, and O? Motion to approve.
Yeah, make a motion to approve items I and then K through O.
Second.
A motion by Kelly, second by Chris, to approve the kennel permits under I, K, and L, and then the animal fancier permits for M and O. As presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, item J, kennel permit for Crossroads Canine.
well, there was a public comment on it where I guess it's stated there's multiple businesses there and police complaints.
So Pete, is there a way for you to kind of verify some of the comments?
I should do that before you just make a decision to renew, or you could renew it and then it becomes an enforcement case, but I think it's better to hold off, because it seems like there's a lot of things going on that I wasn't really aware of.
Yeah, I would like that myself. I mean, verify this stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So item J would just then be recommended staff to do that.
And this would have been before my time, but, and forgive me, I don't not recall your name, but you had mentioned that when this was initially approved, there was some soundproofing that was supposed to have been done. Can you verify that, Pete, that
I got a list,
that was part of the original?
Soundproofing, closing in and fences.
It was, Kelly.
Okay, that would be before my time.
There was some additional fencing to do that we.
Okay.
No, I'll check, the comments that are made to what the conditions were on the permit, and some conditions might not be in there, but they're just, under the animal ordinance, there's things you just have to do regardless.
Okay.
I'll make sure everything is up and up.
Okay.
All right, anything else then? All right, staff's got the action. All right, item number 6 then, previous meeting minutes from commissions and committees. We have the CLIP committee minutes. Questions or comments? Thank them for their minutes. Item 7, considerations for items for next agendas. Anybody have anything?
Don't do it.
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8.
Move adjourn.
I'll second it. And then motion I made second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed?